Hello and welcome back. I'm TrickyMist, and today we're going to be talking about Back 4 Blood. Now, Back 4 Blood is a game that's coming out in the near future. It has an open beta currently right now. You could play it on PlayStation, Xbox, or Steam, or even on through the Epic Games. Sorry about that. I kind of stuttered a little bit trying to think about it. But there's honestly some issues, and I'm just gonna talk about it because I had so many issues today while I was streaming, while I was playing it, trying to relax and everything, and it was just so frustrating. And so yeah, so let's just go right on into it. So number one on the list is the AI, the bots. Honestly, they are just so bad. In game, out of game, pretty much anywhere in that game specifically, they are just so bad. They're just as bad as those stereotypical shooter newbies, you know, where you see a video where someone joins the game, they immediately point up and then they just start spinning. They just start doing the full 360 over and over and over again, just spraying and praying. They're just as bad as that, if not well, I guess technically those guys are more like decoys, while the bots will literally use up all the items, run out into the open, and just full on die. And they would use up all your items or take the best stuff and then just disappear. And then even on top of that, so there might not be some people that out there that have actually got to play the closed beta, but I was fortunate enough to play the closed beta. So when you join mid-game into a random lobby, if you do quick play, you join up someone and they're midway through the 8 missions that you guys could currently play of Act 1. And out of all the missions, so regardless what mission you join up with, you have to take over a bot. During the closed beta, whenever you take over a bot, you get to use all the weapons that they currently have on them. I had sometimes whenever I had the super shotgun or the sawed-off shotgun as secondary, or just random stuff like that. They were great weapons. They weren't really all that good, but they were something. It was just easy enough to go with. You even got points to spend at the box. It was pretty small, a small amount. Honestly, I think whenever I joined a game during the closed beta, it was 250 I got. Pretty low. But now in the open beta, they tweaked it. And the way that they tweaked it, they made it so it's much harder. And by harder, so you pretty much got everything during the closed beta from whatever the bot had was yours, regardless if they had support items, offensive items, or just healing items. So anyways, so now with the open beta, what ends up happening is you take over the character, and all of the primary weapons that they were running around with the other players, they magically just don't have it. So now let's use the character Mom, for example. Now Mom has a sawed-off shotgun for the secondary. So now if you take over the mom character in the game, the only weapon you have is the sawed-off shotgun. And honestly, that's probably one of the better weapons to use as a secondary, because the other ones are just melees. So if you're mission 3+, the melee weapons are pretty much useless at that point. And at that time, taking over a bot in that current situation is terrible. And the one thing that makes it even harder above that is that not only do you just get the starter weapons, which is just the secondary weapon, you now only get less than 100 points. And I know some people are at least to get points. I know there's some people that I've seen where they literally joined a game and they had 0 points to spend. It's just so low, and then everyone else spends all their points, not realizing that the new players have nothing to spend on, to get weapons, to get much of anything. And it just becomes a hassle at that point. And literally it was so nice during the closed beta just to have the idea that you would actually get weapons whenever you join a game. but now you get no weapons, and then you have to like hopefully scavenge a weapon along the way. A lot of the time you won't actually find the weapons right off the bat. Like I did a mission earlier. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna risk it. Instead of asking for points, I'm just going to be like, I'm just gonna try and scavenge a weapon. And literally all we found during the whole mission, until we got to the very main part of the actual mission where the horde was, all we found was melee weapons. All different types of melee weapons, not the best ones. I was hoping for the fire axe or the hatchet. They're like the best weapons in the game for melee. But I kept getting the bat, the machete. It was literally between the two, and they were going up in the tiers, like green machete, blue machete. Regardless, the machete was terrible. It definitely wasn't something that I was about to run. But it, like, those two are like the big differences that I've noticed from closed beta to open beta. Also, the bots themselves are a big issue. Now, if you guys have actually played the beta, you guys would know what I'm talking about. So if you're doing campaign, you will definitely notice this almost immediately. The bots do the dumbest things ever. They do worse than some of the newer players that you see in the shooter games, where they would join a lobby and they would just randomly like point straight up, not realizing how like sensitive the aiming thing is, or the aiming stick, or if they're on controller or if they're on keyboard. They're pretty much just not used to the idea of like aiming and everything like that and shooting. So the thing that ends up happening is like they're pretty much one big old decoy. But with the bots are so different. They're so much worse. So pretty much they're just super useless in the game, and really they're just taking up a spot. They're running out, constantly dying. If they have three chances to go down, they'll use all three of them within a minute. And now it goes from a 4-player match down to however many player controlled characters there are almost immediately. And they're not going down because of friendly fire. They're going down just because of the ridiculous ideas of what they have. So I've seen one where we're about to go into this very crowded area, and almost immediately this character just runs straight off, darts off into the middle of the crowd, dies almost immediately. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go pick him up. We're going to hopefully get the bot back up to where we're at, and then we're going to start sniping down these zombies. Pick him up. He runs directly at the bruiser. The bruiser just full on hits him. It just smashes him into the ground. I was just like, well, he's gone. He just died almost immediately. It was insane. But then honestly, like for the first 4 hours, whenever I tried playing with one of my friends, he, like me and him, we couldn't invite each other. We couldn't do anything with matchmaking. We could join random people, and it would be super laggy for the beginning time. And I even heard that like my friend was watching Shroud by the time whenever he was live streaming, he was being sponsored by the Back for Blood creators and everything like that, like the group that made the game. And midstream his like lobby crashed. So whatever part that they were on full on crashed on them, but luckily they can make a new lobby on this specific mission where it crashed at. And it was just it was crazy hearing about it, because Shroud had 20,000 viewers at the time, and it full on crashed midstream. And imagine on all the other streamers that were playing with him, because he was playing with 3 other streamers. Either that or they were like close friends, but I would assume that they were probably being sponsored as well to play the game. But it was just it was ridiculous. It was 20,000 plus viewers watching the game, like the servers themselves just full on crash on someone's live stream. But I feel like after it happened, then the servers got slightly better in a sense, and it was just so it it got so much better right after it happened. But let's see. Oh yeah, and from the closed beta to the open beta, something that a lot of people don't really realize. In the closed beta, there was a thing going on like, what if all the time that you spent in the closed beta, if like you don't get to keep any of the cards that go into the open beta? Well, I'm here to tell you guys that they do. They honestly transferred over whatever cards that you accumulated over the closed beta, you get to use in the open beta, so you get a slight edge over everyone else that has actually played, or that's starting to play the beta. So if you're in versus, you'll have that slight edge on top of them, especially if you guys spent all the time going in for the mobility tree, or like the damage tree, or the healing tree. Like I say tree, but there's supply lines. Once you fill one out, you give it like a few minutes, and then a new one will pop up for that unique side of it. Personally, I've been focusing only on mobility to try and get up to that point of doing speed running, but we're not quite there yet. Now I'm not sure if they're going to allow us to keep the cards that we have accumulated from the beta into the actual game. If they did allow us to do that, then that would be kind of sweet. That would mean I wouldn't have to grind as much, but knowing it, it's probably not going to be the case. And then let's see. So I know the servers are slightly better now, over the little span time. Oh yeah, there was this other time I joined a random lobby, and this was like early on whenever I was trying to play with one of my buddies from high school. Since we couldn't join each other, we had to join random people, and I had this moment where everyone left. It was just me in the lobby with the 3 bots, and I was like, man, I really want to go to the lobby, but I want to keep the progress that I had. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go down. Went down, it said failed. I was like, all right. Then the thing pops up saying continues, and it has the number 2 on it. And so I was like, all right, so I'm going to have 1 continue left. So that means 1 more retry, and then we'll go down to the last one, and then it'll be like mission over, go back to the lobby. I was like, all right. So pick a card. I go back into the mission. We go down again, and it says continues 2. And then we get 1 more retry, and I was like, is that a bug? Is that literally a bug right now? So then I run out, die again, come back, and it still says I have 2 continues left, and I only have 1 more continue remaining. And after I did it for another 20 times, I was like, all right guys, I guess this lobby is glitched. You get unlimited continue, so I could have just kept doing it over and over again, but trying to do it over and over again would take up so much time. I could have had like 100 fortitude cards, 100 stamina cards, 100 ammo cards, like the very basic of the basic, and I could just have that stack up by so many. Because for whatever reason, every single time whenever you continue, the base cards, like the active cards that you get to choose from, they will stack up and you get to keep them. But with the unlimited continues in the game, you'd keep stacking them over and over and over again until you're just super broken as a character. And just thinking about it, I honestly could have like stacked it up to the point where I could have had like 5,000 HP. There would have been nothing in the game that would have been able to stop me. But at the same time, it would just be so boring. Like getting up to that point is just gonna be super boring for me. But then again, thinking about it, I would imagine some other people probably would have found that pretty boring as well, especially if all they did was just grind to that point saying, I wonder what the limit is on this game for this specific moment. But yeah. Also, another thing that I find kind of silly is that you cannot do solo campaign. Because honestly, I had mentioned this whenever I was live streaming. I used to play Fortnite Save the World, the PvE side of it, And back whenever I would play with random people, I would always run into these guys that we would always refer to as the leechers. Now in Fortnite Save the World, you would pretty much have to do specific missions, little objectives, try and finish it as best as possible. And I would always run into these guys. I would just sit in the spawn point, doing circles, making sure their character's moving so they don't get kicked after 15 minutes. And there was no vote button, there was no nothing. And you could honestly talk to them and they'd be like, sorry, I'm leeching. I was just like, alright. And I know back then, a lot of the time I would fail the mission on purpose and be like, well, have a good day, and just left them. But I know that was kind of toxic at the time whenever I kept doing that. But eventually I was like, you know what guys, enough is enough. I'm just gonna go off to private mode and I'll just do the missions myself. Now with the open beta, I'm not allowed to do single player because I have to play with other people. And I always run into the worst random players out there, you know. They like, some of them are just as bad as the bots, if not worse. But at the same time, I would take those random players over just 3 bots, just because the 3 bots will go off and die, while the random players may play as bad as the bots. They will at least last slightly longer. And yeah. But honestly, this whole video is just me ranting on about the open beta versus the closed beta, how the bots are being like super terrible, super trashy. Just like a few things that I've actually noticed in the game. I would assume some people have actually noticed it as well. So if you guys have noticed any of these things in the game, be sure to let me know it down in the comment section below. I'll definitely be looking. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in for another TrickyMist video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos. And if you guys want to go check out the live streams, we do try to do them in the evening times of every day if we are feeling motivated enough to do the live streams. Some days I just full on pass out before we even get around to doing the live streams, just because sometimes I'm just super tired. It is kind of like almost like back when I had COVID. I was just like so tired to the point where I could just literally look at a clock, blink, and then an hour would pass. Like all of a sudden the hour number would turn into seconds essentially, and I could just sit there and every time whenever I blinked, an hour would pass. It was just so insane just watching that happen. But anyways, yeah, so be sure to subscribe if you guys want to go see some of those live streams. Like the video, comment down below any things that you guys probably have noticed in the game that I have not noticed yet. But yeah, I will see you guys on the next one, and have a great rest of your day. See ya.